Sonochi no Sadame. Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. That's what this video is about. Now, if I can find out what Deadly/Killer Queen touched on this floor here, it's gotta be here around somewhere. Hello everyone, my name is Anthem Sirens, and I've been watching an anime called Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. If you've never heard of the show, you are either my parents and old relatives that are watching this video, a non-anime fan, or you just somehow never heard of Jojo. I won't beat around the bush too much of this intro, so I'm just going to get down to the beef of this video. With Jojo being localized in English-speaking countries, they have to change some names in order to avoid copyright issues. The biggest thing that has been affected by this is the name of the stands, which are physical manifestations of a person's life energy, and they have superpowers. Almost all the stands in Jojo are named after real-life rock bands. Because of this in the English translation, they had to change their names due to the copyright on the names of the bands. Unlike every other Jojo fan I've come across, I have gotten used to the localized stand names, and for the most part do end up calling them by the localized version. Also, I always wanted to do a top 10 on this YouTube channel. The idea of this top 10 list came to me when I one day decided to go for a walk, and I thought to myself, oh man, I can't believe it. X clearly sounds better than Y. That's it! So with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to the first official top 10 video on this channel. The top 10 localized Jojo stand names. This isn't a top 10 list about the stands themselves, just the localized version of the name. This is mostly a list on how I think they personally sound, and I think they're kind of good, not by how dumb they are. Okay, they might sound dumb to you, and maybe a little bit to me, but I just think that these names are actually kind of good. And yes, I'm aware there are some dumb localized stand names, but that's not really what this video is about, and it's also worth noting that most of these will come from parts 4 and 5. Okay, I've talked too much, let's just get on with the video right now, let's go! So number 10 was actually a really hard one to fill in. 1 through 5 were fairly straightforward, 6 through 8 were a bit rough, but overall okay. Numbers 9 and 10 were just a huge pain in the butt. I mean, after I figured out what number 9 would be, I just couldn't figure out what number 10 would be. It was ultimately a tie between Deadly Queen, Golden Wind, and Tiny Feet. However, in the ultimate grand scheme of things, I ultimately went with Deadly Queen. How was this ultimately decided? Well, I just said the stand names a bunch of times in a variety of ways, and I just decided that Deadly Queen just sounds better of all the times I said those stand names. Is it better than the original name Killer Queen? Not really. But once you get used to it, I guarantee you, it's got a nice ring to it. Golden Wind almost actually took this spot because I personally thought Golden Wind just sounded better than Golden Experience, but just saying Deadly Queen sounds so much better compared to saying Golden Wind. And that's why it makes number 10 on this spot. Also, when DC Douglas says it, if you don't know who DC Douglas is, he's the English voice actor for Yoshikage Kira. When he first says Deadly Queen for the first time, well, I think he can definitely give even the most militant of sub fanboys a rock hard. Worst company until the day I die, or when the copyright for the band name expires and Viz Media can own the rights to the name. Yeah. Worst Company. When I first heard this stand name, I immediately thought to myself, yes, this just works. I mean, worse is a synonym for bad, except it's a lot more powerful. Worst Company. It just works. Unfortunately though, I had to take points off because for the longest time, I thought the stand name was called Worst Company, not Worse Company. I mean, sure, you exhale less carbon dioxide when you say worst instead of worse, but worst is more powerful than worse. Worst is the worst of the worst. I mean, what's worse than Worst Company? Worst Company. And that's why it's number 9 on this list. Number 8 is Reverb. Echoes as a stand name just doesn't sound good. Reverb, on the other hand, just sounds a lot better in my opinion. Yeah, sure, you could definitely argue that Echoes just makes much more sense for that stand by definition, but okay guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. I only put Reverb at number 8 because I took too much points off for Worst Company, but still, I will argue with you that it sounds so much better to shout Reverb Act 3 than Echoes Act 3. So one of the things I like about Jojo is that it makes references to classic rock and occasionally some modern rock. Volbeat stand winner here. However, sometimes I think Araki can go a little too far in my opinion, and no, I'm not talking about animal abuse. Notorious B.I.G., Marilyn Manson. Come on, Araki. At least try to be subtle. Is Helter Skelter too clever for you? But then again, that name has been twisted so many times, don't even know what you're referencing. So when they were changing the names, the translators tried to make sense of it for the most part. The keyword being the most part. They weren't always successful. And so number 7 on this list belongs to White Ice. The original name is White Album. Again, come on. Araki. The White Album by the Beatles is a good album nonetheless, as long as you exclude Revolution number 9. But Akari, you're not even hiding it anymore. In the original stand name, white makes sense because it is the color that you see on most ice, but why add the album part of the title into the name of the stand? It just doesn't make sense. Why can't you just be like The Hand and not be so blatant about it and not... We get it, Akari. You like classic rock and hate animals. White Ice just makes much more sense for a stand. It is a stand with ice powers. It's White Ice. And it's number 7 on this list. What more needs to be said? So for this spot, I had a hard time deciding. I couldn't decide which one goes on this list. It was going to be between this and White Ice. And I kind of like them for both the same reasons. And that they sound better and I think they fit the powers better. But this list was hard to make and I ultimately had to decide on this. Number 6 goes to Heartfather. The original name of the stand is Adam Heartfather. Yeah, I know. The English stand name is literally just the same thing, but with the Adam part cut off. But follow me on this, okay? Please, just follow me. Heartfather is a stand controlled by Kira's father, who is a ghost. And Adam Heartfather just makes me think of a dad version of Adam Ant. And before you classic rock junkies get your panties in a twist, I know Adam Heartfather is the name of a Pink Floyd album. I did research before conducting this video, believe it or not. That being said, Heartfather just seems more fitting for the fact that Kira's dad still loves his son and wants to protect his son even though he's going around killing people and sniffing hands. Number 5, 6 Bullets. The name fits well because it's a stand name that is 6 bullets. They are not Sex Pistols, they are 6 bullets, albeit they're counted poorly due to Misa's irrational fear of the number 4. They are not 6 pistols, nor are they sex bullets. I'm pretty sure Sex Bullets is a name of a porn parody of Die Hard. I know who the Sex Pistols are, I know Anarchy in UK on guitar, but I genuinely believe that 6 Bullets just sounds better than Sex Pistols as a stand name. Also, it is number 5 on my list because I cannot put it at number 4 for 2 reasons. 1, Mista will kill me, and 2, number 4 on this list actually goes to this stand name. Moody Jazz! Let's jam! Moody freaking Jazz. When you say Moody Jazz, it just sounds like it has a lot more enthusiasm to it than, say, the word blues. Plus, when Rice Pirate says it in the dub, it just sounds so freaking good. Moody Jazz just makes the stand sound like it's going to do something really cool and exciting, and it's just very enthusiastically appealing to the ear overall. I'm pretty sure I had a lot more to say about this, but I can't remember what I was going to say. Maybe Moody Jazz can take it back to when I first thought why this stand name was really good. Number 3 on this list is Zipperman, or to properly say it, Zipperman! I cannot do Ray Chase justice. He says it so much better than I can. Then again, he is a professional. Zipperman, it just makes sense for a stand that has the power of zippers. Sticky Fingers, I believe, is just another case of we get it, Akari. How does Sticky Fingers relate to zippers, you may ask? Well, when I first thought of it, I thought it doesn't. But then I did some research and found out that Sticky Fingers is actually the name of a Rolling Stones album where the cover is really tight jeans with the notable part being the zipper. But in all seriousness, I really think that Zipperman just sounds better for a Bucciarati stan. And Sticky Fingers, you really have to be like a big Rolling Stones fan to understand the reference. And I don't know. Sticky Fingers just doesn't sound really good as a stand name. And yeah, Zipperman, you could argue, is just way too silly. But I don't know, Jojo is just a flat out silly series in general. So, you know, yeah, Zipperman's number 3, okay? Number 2, Chili Pepper. This is the same case with Heartfather, where if you just take a word off of the original name, it personally to me sounds so much better. Chili Pepper is definitely higher up because the original stand name, Red Hot Chili Pepper, is just such a mouthful, and Chili Pepper just sounds so much better. Chili Pepper rolls right off the tongue, it's simple and easy to say. Although personally, I would have gone with Pepperoni as a stand name, but then I realized the Lego company would sue Viz Media. There really isn't much to say here. I just think Chili Pepper is a good localized stand name. And I guess the way for me to drag this segment out longer is to say I had Akari waited for maybe like 4 or 9 years. The stand name may have been called Electric 6, whereupon the localized stand name would be Voltage 6. But I digress. Chili Pepper is number 2 on this list. It is a good localized stand name. Alright, so before we get to number 1, I'd like to go over some honorable mentions, starting with Emperor Crimson. It's definitely a lot more syllables to say than the original name, being King Crimson, and it was actually almost my number 10 pick, but I ultimately went with Deadly Queen because it actually sounds nicer to say than Emperor Crimson. Also, if you haven't already noticed, Emperor Crimson is editing out all my swear words. The English voice actor, Kellen Joff, I do apologize if I mispronounced that name, he says the name Emperor Crimson so well, and the voice just sounds so evil and menacing that it almost got on the number 10, but it's just an honorable mentions. God bless all the Jojo dub voice actors, by the way. Fisherman, because when I first heard the stand name in the English dub, I actually thought this was the original name, and it was referencing the band Primus. But unfortunately, that's not the case. The actual name is called Beach Boy, which is a reference to the song The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy. I mean, the Beastie Boys. I think Talking Mouth has a hold of me. It's a reference to Beach Boys. Golden Wind, because it has less syllables than Golden Experience. I say before that it was almost number 10, and I don't need much else to say. Lil Bomber, because it's a funny name, and Aerosmith is just a lighter case of We Get It Akari. However, Lil Bomber did not make the cut because I had the urgency to say Little Bomber, and when I say Lil personally, it just sounds like I'm saying little really, really fast. When I heard the people say Narancha's stand name, people are just saying Lil and not Little, and it did not make the cut, and it just makes Aerosmith all the more easier to say. Spicy Lady, just did not make the cut in general. Tiny Feet, because Tiny is smaller than Little, but it was beaten by Deadly Queen. And almost made the cut because I just wanted to make a bunch of bad feet jokes. Dishonorable mentions: Notorious Chase, Mysterioso, Green Tea, and Thankful Death. Even as someone who says the English localized names, I do not like those localized names. Let's go to number 1. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this stand name is personally the best localized JoJo stand name, in my opinion. Admittedly, it's kind of wacky, and it's also kind of goofy, but I just think it just fits the stand, and I think it's also better than the original stand name. Ladies and gentlemen, the number 1 localized stand name is Highway Go-Go. Follow me on this, okay? If you up and told me that an enemy stand was called Highway Star, I would look at you and say, what the heck is Highway Star? Is that supposed to be like an obscure country album or the name of an obscure Whitesnake cover band? I know Highway Star is actually a Deep Purple song. Don't get your panties in a twist. Highway Star just sounds a little too serious for a wacky looking Joe stand. But if you told me that an enemy stand was called Highway Go-Go, I would be like, oh gosh, we better, I don't know, prepare for battle? Not only that, I want you to imagine yourself as a non-JoJo fan, and someone tells you that this thing is called Highway Star. You would be like, well, what the f is this? Is this a Highway Star? But if someone told you that this was called Highway Go-Go, you'd be like, huh, pretty fitting name for a weird looking stand. Also, if you're not convinced enough that Highway Go-Go is a better name than Highway Star, well, here's another thing coming at you. It may be exaggerated, but follow me on this. There's a video on the internet called Why Highway Go-Go, Highway Star, is the gay stand in JoJo. And while the video could have emphasized more in my opinion, and I know it's satire, but if we are going to go by satire rules, I agree with that video. It makes a lot of good points. If the Jojo fandom were to agree that Highway Go-Go is the gay stand in Jojo, then it needs a pretty gay name. And Highway Star just sounds a little too... It just sounds very straight for a gay stand. Highway Go-Go, while it's not the gayest stand, it definitely meets the criteria more than Highway Star. And that is everything I have to say, okay? I've already said enough. The #1 localized stand name in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is Highway Go-Go. And if you don't agree with me on this, you can Highway Go-Go yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the video. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Dislike it if you dislike it. Comment down below what you think of this list or what you think the best localized JoJo stand name is. Share it with your friends. Share it in JoJo Discords whereupon I'll probably be made fun of for a lot of reasons. That's all I gotta say. Follow me on Twitter at AnthemOfSirens. And I hope to see you guys in a future video.
Bye.